Oh guys, we'll get started here in just a minute. Just gonna share the link here. I know this is pretty earlier in the day, but that's just the way my schedule's going. We got a YWA pay-per-view event later today as well, so it'll be interesting. And it's going to be an interesting one because it's going to be the beginning of new stuff to come for YWA stuff. So definitely going to be some, and it's going to be a fun little thing too. Going to be some mixed dream matches of sorts. Opening match is for the TWL Intercontinental Championship as Gordy will be defending against Sergeant Slaughter. This is also part of that promotion war with GSW. So they will be done next. They will probably be done tomorrow. Also early afternoon, probably. And then, after that, I have to think on that a little bit. Hold on, gotta... Okay, and then Slaughter. Alright, let's see how it goes. Oh, Adamo Stretch trying to wear him down here. Oh, headlock.
Give up.
Puts on a Boston Crab. Here's what the rest of the card's going to look like here. The recent TWN champs, the LOD, are going to be have their TWL tag titles challenged by members of the Freebirds, which includes Hayes and Garvin after this one. Then we got Great Muta fighting Ultimo Dragon. Then we got Von Erich, who was injured in the last event, but he's still being booked to fight here. We'll have to see how he does. He's going against Scott Hall. Then in the semi-main event, we got Nash going against Koloff. And then in the main event, we have Randy Savage and Flair going at it with the TWL title on the line. Hi Debo, how you doing?
5 minutes gone.
Give up. Give up.
Running stomp. Oh, Ultimo coming down to help out Slaughter here.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Ugh. How old was it?
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13,
Some jabs.
15, 16,
Ooh.
17.
2000. Oh yeah, that thing's 23 years old. Yeah.
1, 2.
Almost had him there. Yeah, 23 years. That's a lot of age there. Oh, Cobra Clutch.
Give up. Give up. Give up.
Pile driver. Goes for a cover.
1, 2.
Yeah. The retro craze definitely jacked a lot of the prices up, but ever since the pandemic kind of ended and everything, even though the prices are higher, even higher now, I don't hear people talk about retro stuff as much as I used to. Which is kind of weird, because usually, that's the weird thing about the pandemic is that more people bought retro stuff during that time, but prices didn't hike up till like after all of that ended, which is crazy to me because there's more of the stuff now, but prices are higher now. So they got the supply, but the prices reflect what the demand they think is.
3, 4.
Oh yeah, because when they reviewed them, they brought attention to them, which isn't a bad idea. It's just, I mean, it's a double-edged sword, because on one hand you bring attention to games that deserve it, but at the same time you got people taking advantage of that rising thing. Oh, big chair shot in the back of the head from Hayes. It's just a tough thing, and at the end of the day, it just became a big thing, and I don't know if it still is now. I think it still is. I just think it's one of those things that I don't think people talk about in the retro community as much. I will say though, like in terms of like in-person retro activities, the pandemic kind of killed a lot of that, and I think that was, oh, what's this? Oh, Spike pile driver in the corner. because when things started back up, those little retro events, they're few and far between now, and they used to be pretty widespread before. And I think that's making a difference too. I think it's just a combination of things overall. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, I think at some point yeah, exactly. It's crazy. Oh, look at that. Gordy retains. Oh yeah, that's normal now. Because when I was starting console collecting, like those 6th gen consoles, they'll be like 40 to 60 bucks in that range roughly. And now they're like 120. And the PS3 360 stuff, that's like 180. That's like almost half of like PS5s and Xbox Series X's. It's insultingly insane. And the shitty part about all of it is that they're all over the place now. Like during the pandemic, like it was all gone. And it's like it took them too long to realize it, and now they got a bunch of shit high price that no one's buying because they already have shit. Crazy. Got an 81 there. Now those. Yeah. Well, yeah. Disc replay. I think I've been there once, actually. I got a lot of shit there when I was there. Yeah, I was there. It's funny, Saginaw actually has 3 used video game stores. I forgot the names of them except for Game On, because there's one in Mount Pleasant too. Game On's kind of it's pretty widespread in Michigan for used video games. But they have 3 there, and there was a couple of times I went to all 3 in one day because I had the money, and you know, and they weren't that expensive. But now, with the way things are nowadays, like I don't know what I'm gonna see when I go in there. I'm sure the games will still be reasonably priced, but I'm so happy I got consoles when I did, because I can't imagine console collecting nowadays with the prices they're at. I was super lucky to inherit some that I did inherit during my childhood, and was able to get the ones I could get. Because even then, it took me a minute. Nowadays, it's like you're better off just working 12-hour days, 6 days of the week. Just justify it. Okay. Let's see if those TWL. Alright, let's see how it goes. Yeah, exactly. Really? That's crazy. I know the Sega CD has kind of housed some cult classic games now, as of late. But man, it's... But yeah, it's insane to me, all the prices, and the demand doesn't reflect it. That's the crazy part to me. Yeah, I'm not that deep into it. Like, I think the last console I got, like legit retro console I got, I think was, man, I'm trying to think now actually. I think it could have been the N64. That was kind of last of my thing. Because right now, in terms of consoles, I have... Hi, Fear. Just in time for match number 2 here. First match was a solid one between Slaughter and Gordy. Gordy successfully defended his IC title. Now, this is a TWL title match. Not for the TWN belts. The TWL titles that the LOD has had since Season 1. But yeah, like console-wise, as of right now, I have all in terms of current stuff, I have PS4, Xbox, and Switch. Then the prior gen, I have 360, PS3, and Wii. Then the gen before that, I have all 4. I have PS2, Xbox, Dreamcast, and GameCube. And then the gen before then, I have PlayStation and N64. And then I have a retro trio that plays NES, Super Nintendo, and Genesis games. I don't have a Saturn, or any of the Sega peripherals, just because I don't have an actual Sega Genesis.
2, 3.
Yeah, I've thought about that. I've thought about quite a bit lately getting like a Japanese PS2 so I can play some Japanese wrestling games from over there. I've been thinking a lot about that. To be honest, out of all the consoles I've had, I most worry about my PS3 and 360 like croaking over on me, because I've had my PS3 since like 2012, like over 10 years. I don't play it super often. Even when I had it, I didn't play it a ton. It was kind of toward the tail end of my first hibernation from video games. So it still probably has some life in it. Oh wow. Just when the Dreamcast came out. But yeah, Fear, after the stream, I'm gonna work on your guy and update him and everything, and then later on today we'll have that Big Bang pay-per-view event. That should be interesting. Yeah. Yeah, they would have to make some sacrifices though. Like, I don't know if you could do the music input in this and Switch like you could do here. So you would kind of be stuck with the music in game, which isn't bad. It's just, you know, for the stuff you can put in, and plus the storage limitations. I don't know how different that'd be compared to PlayStation. So it definitely would be fun, and you could definitely get away with stuff, but you definitely would have to, like, I don't know if you'll be able to get the maps like you would on PS4 in, well, Steam. I mean, but good thing Wrestling Empire's on Switch, because that's a great one. It's been a minute since the guy put a big update in that game, but I know he just released a whole new ass game, the school game that he did, so he was busy a lot doing that Powerbomb cover. 2. I haven't tried it myself. I heard it was okay. I heard the gameplay was good. Definitely reminiscent of like combination of like the old SmackDown versus Raw games and a little bit of No Mercy elements, kinda. God, GBA. Yeah, I still gotta review the 2 ones on Advance. But I heard it was kind of shallow. I heard the creation elements leave a bit to be desired. But, oh, gets kicked out of ring. I heard it's not like it's, I heard it's well executed in terms of gameplay, outside of maybe some glitch, a little bit of glitching, but not a lot. The biggest thing I hear people criticize is the limited creation at the moment. I did see that they just announced that they were having their first DLC packet of a couple new wrestlers, or if it's going to come in a download, I don't quite remember. And of course the Stadium Stampede online game. Oh, LOD retained.
Finish! Come on!
Jeez. I gotta look at that AI again after another round of it. But I heard Stadium Stampede on there, the online thing. I heard that was decent. It's just a lot of people. The biggest thing with a lot of people is that they wish there was more to do in creation in terms of creating wrestlers. Entrances are insanely in depth, which is kind of interesting. They went that route with it, but yeah, like the main mode, a lot of people have said that it's okay, but they find it a little all over the place and not super focused. Yeah, I'll do that. I haven't looked at it yet, but I will do that. I'll fill in the gaps. Anything you left as like a signature or finisher, I'll leave there. But yeah. After the first match he has, you'll have a chance to kind of change anything you wish, and then once he has a second match, then after that, if you want to make any changes, you'll have to spend credits that you earn through YWA or TWN to do that. Oh yeah, no, I'll do that. Like that stuff's kind of more on the fixed side of things. I mean, there are a few things you can choose, but we'll cross that bridge after the pay-per-view, because this pay-per-view that we're doing later, it's more kind of a fun thing. There's not really gonna be anything at stake. I mean, of course, like all the events I do, you can bet credits, although you don't have any credits yet yourself, but anybody can on any of the matches and whatnot. So outside of that, it's mostly just kind of to move into the next era. I know I said that after season 1 of YWA, but this is going to be very, very different than what we used to in YWA. So it is a legit change of the guard. Next match, Muto versus Ultimo. Before I lose track of things. Yeah, definitely, especially against because you said you picked Hayabusa, so that should be a fun one for sure. All right, see how this goes here. But yeah, that'll be a fun one for sure. And then. But yeah, then we got the YWA Takedown show coming up. That Star Fox already booked it. But yeah, but that was a while ago though. So he might want to make changes. We'll have to see. But yeah, overall, it's but as I was talking about AEW, the biggest issue people have with that game is the fact that it's just that you kind of do it for a little bit and that's kind of it. And it doesn't really go above and beyond in key areas that people want it to go above and beyond, like roster. Well, roster is what you expect. A lot of people I think overall, like, it's just one of those it's just one of those things where people wanted some, given the build up and everything, people were expecting something a little bit more polished from the get-go, and you know, it's a little on the shallow side, and people kind of had higher expectations. Now, the good news is, from what I can tell, they don't plan on having this be a yearly thing, that this game's gonna stay around for a bit before they do another installment. So hopefully they'll build on it over time properly. But if they just leave it as is, then yeah, it's one of those things where where I don't know if you could like sandbox it like what we do with Fire Pro, because if you can do stuff like that, then maybe you can get some fun out of it, but that just depends on how ambitious you are. And to be honest, I don't know how good CPU matches would be in that game. I've heard mixed things about the CPU in that game, but of course patches get released and stuff, so I don't know. I would like to play it and try it at some point, but I would like to see it go on sale first. Because I got 2K23 for my birthday, and I'm gonna max use that until if I get any new wrestling game outside of AEW, if I get a break anywhere, it's gonna be that Ultra Pro Wrestling game, because I'm really looking forward to trying that one out. Ooh, chair shot.
1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Side DDT. Crossbody. Figure 4.
Give up. Give up. Give up. Give up. Give up.
Ooh, spinning heel kick. Roll up.
Break.
Doesn't clear the ropes though. Running Liger bomb.
Break.
Yeah, I know, right? And I damn well know I suggested at least 2 of them, because I saw it, I'm like, they have Gangrel and like Kenyon, and I'm like I know Kenyon / Morris. I know other people mention him too, but I know for a fact that I definitely mentioned Gangrel, so it was pretty cool to see that he was thrown in there. And it's also cool that the DLC goes toward like a decent chunk of the DLC goes toward the wrestlers too, which is great. So yeah, it's gonna be cool to see that. I'm really looking forward to it. And to be honest, like if it delivers that pure, because here's the thing, we were gonna do something, and we're gonna do RCW stuff in No Mercy. That was the original plan, but the glitch kind of wrecked it. The deletion glitch kind of wrecked it. That's why we tried SmackDown 06 for a bit before we just went to 2K23. But I know what they said was that at the start, it's pretty much just going to be the base AKI engine off the bat, with new stuff coming at various points. Yes, I was so happy to see Hayabusa in there. There was a lot of great underrealized picks in there. You know, I gotta look at that list again, because it was a massive list, but there was a lot of like great underrated guys thrown in there, which I love seeing. I love seeing like the underrated guys get in, because here's the thing, like it.
1, 2, 3.
Oh, Muta gets the win. Because some of the more popular guys you see everywhere and have done a lot with, but to be able to see, like, yeah, Francine, that was cool. I love, but yeah, getting Gangrel in there, that was awesome. Because here's the thing with Gangrel that's really interesting is that outside of, like, his stint with the WWF, he's been 100% an indie guy. Like, he hasn't done anything outside, out of, like, he's made maybe brief appearances in some bigger promotions, but he's never, like, had a full run in anything outside of, like, WWF. Like, so to see, it's kind of cool to see that despite him just pretty much being 95% of his career being indies, that he's left that big of a mark. You know, and the thing is, when you watch his work in WWF, they didn't really give him a lot to do in terms of, like, title reigns or big stories necessarily. So it's kind of cool to see that despite all of it, that he cemented, like, an iconic, like, legacy. So that's very cool to see. I'm happy they're able to get him in the game. I think what's another, but yeah, there's a lot there. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting a lot of them. I'm gonna have to watch that video again. Next match, Von Erich versus Hall. Von Erich was critical in the last pay-per-view thing we did the other day, so we will figure out how severe his injuries are after this event. Yeah, they did. I noticed that too, that a lot of those guys were in Retromania Wrestling. Yeah, Retromania Wrestling kind of tanked quite a bit. Those guys behind that game really dropped the ball hard. And the worst part is, I don't think they either they're that, like, out of like sync with their fan base, or they legit just don't care. And here's the thing too, when you play the product, it's a genuine decent good game. It's just, it feels like they had good intentions at the start, but when it finally came out, they realized, oh shit, we we don't want to do, we made a bite off more than they can chew. And instead of, like, at least 3 or 4 DLC packs they planned, they did one extra player and little things, and then they just ghosted the whole community. It's insanely sad to me, because I do like that game and I do enjoy playing it, but there's a part of me that's just like, man, if there was just some creation elements in this game, it really would have added some life to it. Because it has a lot of great things. Like, it has good entrances, rings, arenas, the roster's solid. You know, the solo modes is reasonable. I haven't really completed it yet, but it's not bad. In game modes and exhibition has some decent variants. It's just they just dropped it. And it's kind of unfortunate, in all honesty, because they could have had a solid indie wrestling game, but when they finally crossed the finish line, they just decided not to do a victory lap. They just skipped the victory lap, you know. Okay, all right, let's see how this goes. Yeah, I wish they would have done something with that, because it would have been nice to see them, like, because, like I said, like, it played well. It was a solid game. They just decided not to do anything with it after, when it was released. But even before then, they were a little on the fence on when they were going to release it. So there was hints in the kind of during when they did because they did a shit ton of like talks with the fans and stuff. I just think the biggest problem is that they kept they kept saying it's coming, and without promising dates, and they just kept doing it. I think what they should have done is, I think they should have just only announced it's coming when it was gonna come. Like that's the thing. I think that was their mistake number one for them, and I think the biggest mistake too was probably on the business end as well. I think I think that's one of the biggest reasons they just slowed down or stopped altogether, was just because they probably just didn't manage it right, the business end of it. But yeah, it would have been nice if they were able to make it a more fleshed out game, because they could have. But as it is right now, it's a reasonably good indie wrestling game. But, and this is the big thing, but it does make you wish they did more than they ended up doing, which is why something like Ultra Pro Wrestling is gonna be very fun to see brought to life. Because I'm hoping, because here's the thing with
Give up.
because here's the thing with the indie wrestling scene in general. Because if you really look at the options you have, you got this game you could argue is probably the king, because it lets you do so much. I mean, granted, there's stuff in it that aren't quite perfect, and there's stuff that you wish you could do that you can't. But you gotta keep in mind, this is based on Japanese wrestling, which functions differently than American wrestling. But despite that, it's the most sandboxy game you can get in terms of like complete openness. Wrestling Empire, I would argue, is a close second. The thing for me that holds that game a little back from eclipsing this is the fact that it's a sandbox game in a different way. This game is a sandbox game like you have pure control over everything, in a nutshell. While Wrestling Empire, it's a sandbox game like the Grand Theft Auto series, where you could do a lot of different stuff, but you don't really have control over everything. You're just kind of along for the ride. And that's a different way of doing it there. Yeah. I think for me, like, in terms of like pure gameplay and stuff, this game is near the top. So I would say probably my most played wrestling games it's this and probably Here Comes the Pain, I'm not gonna lie. What's another one? I played quite a bit of 2K14. I played a lot of like WrestleMania 2000 and No Mercy. I played a lot of the Aki wrestling games in general, in all honesty. Big Irish Whip. Choke slam right there from Hall.
Give up.
But yeah,
Give up.
there's that Wrestling Empire. Like, it's great in a lot of ways, but it's not a game where you can have complete control over everything like this game. So that's just something you have to keep in mind, that as much even though there's a lot of stuff you can do, that doesn't mean you have control over everything. So that's something you have to keep in mind with Wrestling Empire. What else? What other? Retromania we were just talking about. That game, like I said, that game is really solid. Like, it's not like a bad game by any stretch. It's just the expectations just didn't match what people. It's just the expectations were a lot higher. Like, they could have had an A+ game, but they settled on a B. You know, that's the biggest issue with Retromania Wrestling, is that it could have been an A+ game and they settled on a B. And it's really good. I really have a lot of fun with it. It's a very different, I will say this, it gives you something different for wrestling. Ah, Hall gets the win after the Outsider's Edge. Von Erich. We'll have to check on his injury status from the other day after the stream. Another 86 here. Next match, we got Nash versus Koloff. I'm trying to think of what other ones there are. I know there's... I feel like I'm missing something with one more for the bad guy, exactly. I gotta update Nash's moveset. It's a little bit on the base side. Alright, let's see how this one goes. Trying to think. Let's see. I mean, I don't know if you count AEW Fight Forever as an indie game, necessarily indie wrestling game, but it is new and different. We just talked about that too. And I haven't played that one, but like I said, it's one of those things where it's like there probably will be more added to it. It's just a question of pace. So that'll have to be revisited from that end there. I mean, the WWE 2K games, 2K22 kind of put them on the right path. The biggest issue with I haven't played all of 2K23 yet. I should, because I heard that they made a lot of good touch-ups compared to 2K22. I think my biggest issue with 2K with the 2K games, in all honesty, is that it's the fact that it's WWE owns so many wrestling products, like in the past, like ECW, WCW, and a bunch of others, but yet they don't input those in this game. Look, I get it's a WWE game, I get that, but if you're gonna own all this shit and you're gonna put teases of them in the game, just go full board, give us everybody. You know, you own the rights to all this stuff, but yet you don't put them in the game. And I get there might be some legal tape with that, but there's just times where I'm looking at it and I'm just like, man, they could have added so much more to this than they did.
Give up.
Hasn't bought out. No, because I think here's the thing. I think they didn't buy them out for... I don't think they did for a couple of reasons. One, WWE doesn't see AEW as a threat. And in all honesty, WWE right now is doing... I feel like WWE is doing better now than they were before AEW. Because one, it's a competition thing.
Two.
Like, it's gonna help them make a lot of money. And the other thing is, two, it made them better. And that's the thing too. If they bought AEW, I think a lot of people would turn on WWE. The Paul brothers.
6,
Oh man.
7, 8,
Yeah,
9,
I mean,
10,
here's the thing with AEW right now. AEW and WWE, they have the reverse problems right now. AEW can put on stellar matches. Like stuff that will get you super invested, but the stories aren't always there. While with WWE, like, they put a lot of effort in story, and yeah, a lot of them crap out, but when they do work and you mix them with matches that are reasonably quality, that can give you fire. And it especially helps when you have Triple H in charge. And I know there's been back and forth about who's really in charge, but to be honest, at this point, I think it's just safe to say that I think it's probably just Triple H. I don't think Vince McMahon's even competent enough to even like have any power with creative, to be honest. But even if he is in there, which I don't think he is, because I feel like despite him wanting to still be involved in the company, I think it's at a point where it's like how do you not trust Triple H? You know, and I'm not saying Triple H was perfect so far. He's definitely had some duds, but for the most part, I think you needed fresh blood. And if it wasn't going to be Triple H, who else was it going to be? And to be honest, and that's the other thing too, like, as much as I like what AEW does in a lot of ways, my biggest issue with AEW compared to WWE is that it's like there's a part of me that feels like AEW keeps trying to put on like this environment and atmosphere that I think isn't it's quite what they were hoping. Like, for example, like when it started, it was jokingly called All Friend. Like, it was jokingly called All Friends Wrestling or something like that, because the environment was always like all friendly and stuff, but that's not that environment anymore. But I still feel like they're trying to do that, and I don't know, like, I kind of, that's the thing about WWE is that its reputation precedes it. It's like that for a reason, and yeah, it was kind of shitty for a while, but with, like I said, with Triple H back, the attitude is better, and I feel like that. I feel like a lot of people just gravitate toward it, in all honesty, because the stories are there. And they're making the right decisions right now. They're making decisions that make sense and that people can get behind. The biggest issue with AEW, and here's the other thing with AEW and WWE too. One, WWE does not have the roster to justify fucking 5 hours of main roster wrestling a week, along with 2 to 3 hours of developmental wrestling. Oh, Nash wins it with the jackknife. They just don't, along with the monthly pay-per-views. While AEW is on the opposite end. Granted, they added a whole new show, and they are kind of upping the pay-per-view count a little bit this year. So they're at least trying to give the roster more time to do try to justify having a big roster. But the biggest issue, in all honesty, is they need a roster split. Like, WWE needs less screen time, and AEW just needs not necessarily more screen time at this point. They're kind of halfway to the solution, but they need to find a way to divide the roster and book them better. With a roster that size, like, you need division like that. That's why the first brand split in WWE happened. There's a reason why they did that, because they had a huge like collection of guys that they didn't want to or couldn't get rid of without any good reason. So they did it to help them book and create storylines so everyone can have something, everyone can be active doing shit, and it'd be easier to manage. But when you have all those guys floating around and a bunch of stuff, it's harder to manage stuff like that. It just is. It was a way to organize things and keep things coherent. And that's what I feel like AEW needs to do with the roster they have. Otherwise, they should probably cut guys, in all honesty. But, I mean, because here's the thing. They got the 3 shows. They got Dynamite and Collision, which are their main shows. They've said Rampage kind of pulled a Sunday Night Heat. Because when Sunday Night Heat first came out, it was kind of talked about as a number 2, a comparison to Raw. But once they released SmackDown, they got really like put down. And that's what's happening to Rampage. Now, I heard an idea a while back, and I mentioned this before on the channel here, about making Rampage an all-women's wrestling show that'll only focus on their women's roster. And I thought, and to be honest, that's a great idea, because here's the thing. One, it can help, it won't 100% solve it, but it can help solve the woman booking issue. That's one. Number 2, the TBS Championship that's exclusive to Rampage because it airs on TBS is a women's championship. So you already got that as well. And number 3, you'll be the first to do something that WWE hasn't done yet, which is huge. Will be a huge step forward for them. But I don't know if they will go through with it, in all honesty, because if you're gonna do a woman's exclusive wrestling show, you almost have to justify having women's tag belts. And man, those women's tag belts in WWE has been cursed. the and that's kind of the biggest issue with WWE right now, is that they so badly want to do more with women's wrestling, but they have an odd amount because they don't really have. They have enough to have the amount of solo belts they have, and to have stables and stuff, but they don't have quite enough to the point to justify tag belts. And with everything going on with those tag belts, with the injuries it's been surrounded with, like you almost have to like cancel them. 5 fucking belts there, jeez. But at the same time, I passed it. But at the same time, like you're just gonna have a lot of women doing nothing without a tag division. So it's kind of it's an odd amount, and yeah, it's weird. It's very weird because you can't have women having individual storylines necessarily, and you can only have so many girls belt gunning. So it's kind of a weird spot for them. Okay, let's see how this one goes here. But yeah, I think overall, between the two, I would argue that WWE is doing slightly better right now because AEW just keeps getting, ever since that All Out brawl like the prior year when Punk and all that, it really has been tough for them to maintain the momentum. And WWE was just on fire with stuff. And to be honest, I feel like their biggest blemishes is with WWE is unfortunately very common with wrestling, is knowing when to end a story. Like, I always find that wrestling seems to have a hardest time wrapping up a story in a satisfying way, without going too long or too short, or just abruptly stopping altogether. And that's what's kind of happening with the Bloodline story, because after SummerSlam, all that happened, and all these stables, like, are forming, gathering belts up. Like, Judgment Day's finally coming to form, Bobby Lashley's stable's making noise, Imperium's making noise, and it's like, and it's starting to become more like a normal wrestling thing now, with it just not being about the Bloodline. But yet the Bloodline technically isn't done yet, because Roman Reigns still has the fucking championship. He won the last match, but he's not going to be defending the belt or doing anything with it for... I don't know if he's going to be doing anything with it from now till WrestleMania 40. So I don't know what the fuck's going to be happening with that. So it's pretty much about 4 months, 4 to 6 months. No, it's in March. Yeah, it's gonna be like 6 months of fuck all. And so he's pretty much gonna have that belt till WrestleMania, because there's no way he's dropping the belt before WrestleMania at this point, because everyone's already acted like the storyline's ended, because everyone's talking about the Bloodline like it's already done and everything, which technically it is, except Roman Reigns is still the fucking champion. That's like the biggest thing. Like, it almost makes you wonder, man, maybe he should have lost at WrestleMania 39, because here's the thing, he could have done all these storylines since WrestleMania 39 without being the champion. He could have had the Civil War, he could have done all this stuff, Jay beating him would have still had impact even though he lost at WrestleMania. He could have lost a different way. I don't know. I mean, it's just, to me, it's kind of at a point where I'm just kind of like, At what point does him having the belt benefit anybody? It doesn't even benefit Roman at this point, because all the prestige behind Roman is been stripped away until the only thing that's left is the fact that he's still WWE champion. Oh yeah, I expect as much. If he doesn't drop the belt at WrestleMania 40, it'd be a big mistake. And here's the thing too that I've heard too that could have some merit, is that I've heard some rumors that it's in his contract that he has currently to be champion until he decides to drop the title. And here's the thing too that was brought up a year or so ago that made me a little bit more okay with it at the time of him having the title this long, is that fact that once he drops it, he's going to be like done with wrestling. He's going to be like retired and just be done. And given his medical history, I didn't mind that this was his last hurrah. But when you pass up two possible good to great solid endings for the whole story of him having the title. Oh, look at this! Savage just got critical by the figure 4. And you don't go through with it? I'm sorry, that's a mistake. A little title offense there for Flair, and Savage was just critical. Alright, now we're going to calculate the show here, see how well Star Fox did here. Three straight 86 matches. That's interesting. Okay. 81, 81, 70, 70, 86, 86, 86, 86, 73, 86, 86, 86, 86, 86, 70, 70, 81, 81, 42. Alright, Star Fox got an 80 here. But yeah, I hope he does, because yeah, it's kind of weird and kind of ridiculous for him to like hold on to the belts this long without doing anything with it, because it really makes it tough, because there's only so many storylines other wrestlers can do that don't revolve around a championship. There's only so many before it starts to like feel repetitive. Like at some point you have a guy, this is my thing, this is why I'm not a fan of long title reigns in this era, is because there's only so much because if you're going to show this much wrestling in this high volume with the roster they have, you can only have a guy be a champion for so long before it just becomes like a nothing thing. And they've went way past that point with Roman Reigns, in my opinion. But I mean, I've talked so much about that, and I'll probably talk more about it in the future. But yeah, in terms of streams, like I said, YWA Big Bang 2 is going to be coming on later today, so keep an eye out for that. And outside of that, though, that's going to do it for this specific stream here. So thanks for watching. In case you guys wanted to chat with anyone at the Campy Company, you didn't want to use the YouTube comment section, we do have a couple options. First one is we have a Discord channel. You can find a link to that in the About page / About section of our channel. We also have a community tab on our channel as well. You can access that anywhere, anytime. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.